President Big Mouth around here, I'm going to step in and take on some of the MC duties while Mr. Forsyth is greeting all of his guests. Next up is someone who should be familiar to all of you. Jane Cormier, representative of Belknap 8, Alton, Barnstead, and which? Gilmanton. I never remember Gilmanton. Jane is a first-time state representative. She has startled and amazed the New Hampshire House because of her passion, her fervor, and her absolute adherence to liberty and the truth. You got to hear her sing this morning. I thought all she could do could sing, but boy, can she speak. Boy, does she know what she's doing. And having elected representatives like Jane Cormier can only serve the greater good here in New Hampshire. Jane, would you come up and take the podium?
Thank you. I want to thank the people that put this event together today. Again, my name is Jane Cormier, and I really did want to go to Connecticut and join the entourage, but with a young child and with all the things that are happening right now, I couldn't make that work, and so I came here, and this is wonderful. This is really important, what we're doing here today. I'm going to speak very, very briefly because I thought it might be interesting to sort of tell a tale of where I came to the Second Amendment. Everybody comes to the Second Amendment, I think, in different places. And mine is relatively a new situation. Yes, yes, yes. On fire, yes. Oh my. You heard me sing today. Most of my adult life and all of my youth was spent training to sing on the operatic stage. And as such, I traveled around the world. I've lived in, foreign countries, had a great experience doing so, but never really thought, although I always supported it, in a kind of bland way, the right to bear arms. And having been mugged 3 times in my life, in 3 separate situations, I look back and I'm just amazed that I went through those experiences without really thinking about what that was meaning for me. I was a single gal living in big cities because that's where opera is, and had fear a good portion of that time. I was mugged first at 18 in the entrance of the Smithsonian Institute, of all places, and my mother had given me a $100 bill for my senior class trip, and she said to me, "Don't you dare lose that money." And my mom, you believed her. That $100 bill was in that pocketbook that somebody was trying to take from me. And I can remember at 18 a visceral memory of thinking, he is not going to get that pocketbook short of taking my arm with it. And I hung on, and he pulled, and I hit the ground, and we had a tug of war, and I won the first skirmish. Go fast forward, I was in my late 20s in 42nd Street, and if anybody's been to 42nd Street, you know that the underground subway down there, especially in the years that I was doing it, I think it's been rehabbed since, wasn't a friendly place for especially a young woman to be. I had my first big gig, and I bought myself a fancy blue fox coat. I just thought I was, really something to see. And as I was going down the entryway to go up to the station, to get the subway, 3 youth decided they wanted my coat. And I remember, as it was, I was knocked around a little bit. I was happy to escape with just some bumps and bruises, but you know what? I was so enraged that somehow they thought they were going to take my coat. I bought that coat, and I fought, and when I just got so enraged and screamed, the loudest operatic scream you ever heard, I had about 3 seconds of freezing it saved me, because in those 3 seconds they stopped, and that allowed me to run as fast as I could up the steps to the subway station, and I jumped into the group of people, and they sort of hung around a little bit, but they dissipated. That was number 2. Number 3, we go to the 30. I was in my 30s, young 30s, and living in Vienna, Austria. And boy, I have immigrant stories from that too, because I had to sign in not only at the town hall, but in the town, the sheriff's office, regularly, because I was an immigrant from the United States, and I was taking a job from a German singer. So that's a whole story in itself, but That was when you actually followed the law as an immigrant in a foreign country where you were lucky enough to have a job, right? But then I was coming home one night from a production I had just performed in, and I got off my cable car, and sure enough, somebody decided they were following me, and they followed me not only all the way home, a half-mile walk, into my apartment building right up to my door. And I got in just before he did, and there was an awful lot of noise going on, and I called the police, but escaped 3 times. We go ahead now. 3 years, I started to wake up to politics and how we were losing our country on every level. We're just losing everything, what it meant to be American. And I got into this house last session figuring I couldn't possibly do as bad as my predecessor. So I figured, you know, that was okay that I was ignorant. I'd learn as I go, and I've been kicking butt. Whenever I have the opportunity, I'm happy to do so. The first speech that I gave on the floor was when good old Rep. Shurtleff, who is a former marshal who gets to keep his guns even though he's going to take them off of us. I got up there to speak against the Stand Your Ground law and sort of told a short version of this, and it changed some votes. Some Democrats and some Republicans came up to me afterwards, a couple in the bathroom, and they said to me, you know what, your story, I changed my vote. And I thought, wow, this works. This talking works. So I have to tell you, I'm new to the gun debate. I can tell you right now, I'm learning. I'm more comfortable with the weapon of my choosing. And I'm learning to get more comfortable. I'm learning, thanks to people like Penny, about what that means and the responsibilities associated with it. But I tell you what, I'm too old to run anymore. And furthermore, I shouldn't have to run anymore. So let's remember, when the left is starting to tell you all those stories about feminism, I love the left females. Sometimes they just make me nuts because they're going to sit there and tell us strong women, strong women. Well, you know what? I have a weapon. It doesn't matter how big you are because we're pretty equal if I know what to do handling myself with that weapon. That's the ultimate of feminine power, and I wish they'd wake up and get off the Kool-Aid and understand that we empower women. We do not take choices away from women, and if you want to have 50 guns, then God bless you, you can have 50 guns. And you know what? For women today, I say, go get as many guns. I'm moving forward with it, and I hope others do too. So that's just my story. I wanted to let you know I'm new to this. I'm 100% with you. I know that others will come and join, just like I joined, right? Because I was in my 50s before I woke up. It's going to happen. We just got to keep talking and keep putting the discourse out there about what's happening in this country. And we will keep our state, live free or die, and we will keep our guns. Thank you very much.
Even without a sidearm, she is dangerous. I think we can all agree on that.
Crop tape.